One of the most common complaints I see about Nintendo is that as a company, they have a lot of issues with getting proper stock and maintaining stock for certain items. And a lot of people say that Nintendo just doesn't want to take their money. While I personally don't think that's the case, and as someone who really likes thinking about how companies work and how companies make money, this is something that has interested me a lot. But I came up with a theory recently that I like to call the Amiibo theory, or better known as the Nintendo shortage theory, and why they do these certain aspects that a lot of people hate and despise, and why I think it's actually quite the genius business move. But anyway, let's get into the video. So why is it called the Amiibo theory? Well, it's quite simple. When Amiibos released back when Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U, and I think the same day that Pokemon Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire launched, there were not many. Practically, there was a few Links, a few Peaches, and a few of the other Mario Luigi ones that you could find at nearly every store. Ironic now that Link has gone up a lot in price, but I digress. Most of the common ones you could find easily, but there were the three that were called the Holy Trinity, and these were Villager, Wii Fit Trainer, and Marth. So these were the hardest to come by ones, and if you came by one on day one, you were pretty lucky, and if you bought one, you were pretty smart. But the Holy Trinity, or the Three Horsemen, or whatever you want to call them in the dumb Amiibo collecting universe, they were incredibly hard to find, and as a result, they shot up in price, somewhere close to $100, I think at the peak. It was quite impressive, to be honest. But then later down the line, Nintendo was like, hey, we're going to release more Marths, we're going to release more Villagers, and we're going to release more Wii Fit Trainers. And everyone was like, are you kidding me, Nintendo? Mind you, this was like a year after Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS came out. And everyone was like, are you kidding me? I spent a lot of money just so I can get this Amiibo for my collection. But then they all sold out again. Nintendo did exactly what they wanted, and they all sold. Now, if you look at a lot of the early on Amiibos, the Mario, the Links, the Luigis, all of these sat in stores for an incredibly long period of time, and a lot of those went on clearance because they were so mass-produced, and as a result, I'm sure that turned a lot of retailers off from buying more Amiibo figures. But the Holy Trinity was different. These sold out the second that they hit the store, and when Toys R Us did the restock of the Villager Amiibo, it was one of the biggest news articles at the time for gamers because everyone was so excited to finally get their hands on these rare Amiibos. So in theory, what the lack of supply did is that it caused the demand to go up, and not just for people at the beginning, but new Amiibo collectors in general. They wanted to get these rare figures. So when Nintendo finally re-released the figures, the demand was insane, and all they had to do was supply it, and it was easy money. And I wonder, if there was a bunch from the start, I don't think they would have sold as well, because I can tell you as a collector, I have bought stuff just because I knew it was going to be rare. And I have done this many times with Nintendo things. So I know Nintendo has me by the hook. And I know they can do whatever they want with me because I will buy it because I am a stupid collector who really doesn't think a lot about my purchases. So this theory does not only apply to Amiibos, there's actually a multitude of examples where this has happened. One of the more common ones was the Breath of the Wild Special Edition, not Master Edition, even though a few of these were restocked. I don't think that was a massive restock, I think that was more of Nintendo was making some at the time and they decided to release them. But at the time, the Special Edition, which came with the Sheikah case for Breath of the Wild, was incredibly hard to come by at launch. And again, as a result, these shot up in price on the third-party sites like eBay and Amazon. The case alone at one point was going for $80, which is just ridiculous. But then Nintendo released a bunch, and everyone was like, oh god, I really want that, so then they bought them, and they all sold out yet again. So did Nintendo actually sell more copies of Breath of the Wild this way? Because think about this. If I really wanted to play Breath of the Wild on launch, but I really wanted this collector's edition, but I couldn't get it, I'm going to buy a standard copy of Breath of the Wild. But then when the special edition comes back up on a site, and I really wanted it, I'm probably going to buy it again. That is why Breath of the Wild had over a 1-to-1 ratio on sales per Switch, and it's just mind-numbing. It is actually so smart of Nintendo. And I also think this is what Nintendo is going to do with the NES Classic Edition. Do you really think that Nintendo would cut off the supply of one of the hottest selling toys of 2016 and 2017? No, Nintendo's not stupid. They're simply creating a break here so they can release the SNES Mini at one point, and then later on release the NES Classic Edition again, and everyone's gonna go crazy. I think Amiibos were more or less a test of this, and of course there are some more limited edition items that actually did not get restocked. These include the Wind Waker HD Collector's Edition, Fire Emblem Fates Collector's Edition, and even some standard releases like Mario and Sonic at the 2016 Rio Games. That game is going upwards of $80 new now. But again, people, I would like to stress that Nintendo actually does, again, have a long history of reprinting physical games, just normal editions. Look at Metroid Prime Trilogy, Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, and Xenoblade Chronicles, which they made a deal with GameStop that they would reprint them. Hey, just a quick note here that I want to throw in as well. I would also like to add that age really doesn't mean much for reprints. For example, Sega just recently reprinted Yakuza 1 and Yakuza 2 on the PlayStation 2, a reprint in 2017. See, this is the kind of stuff that Nintendo could do as well and truly topside the market. So guys, the ultimatum here is that Nintendo actually has a long history of creating fake supply and demand and replenishing the supply while the demand is really high. So again, I would really love to hear your thoughts on this theory, because I think this is what Nintendo is doing, and I think they are going to continue doing it as long as people keep biting. You may disagree with the business practice, but I think we can all agree this is what they are trying to do. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace!